What's going on, guys? It's Spud here and welcome to episode 76 of the Roundup. In today's episode, LA Thieves win Minor 2. It's 3 tournaments in a row, Minor 1, Major 3 and Minor 2 for the Thieves, as they look in fantastic floor right now going into Major 4 champs in EWC. Can they be stopped? It's once again another second place for OpTic. This time, however, it wasn't even. OpTic managed to get a couple of maps on the board at the end, but it was a very dominant win for LA Thieves. I don't know what OpTic do, but in my opinion, as an OpTic fan, I don't think OpTic will win a tournament this year now. I think they've like a major or a champs or an EWC. I just can't see it. We'll be looking at the minor events, seeing how teams played, and then doing our predictions for next week. Obviously, there's only 2 more weeks of online qualifiers, I believe, and then we've got Major 4, and then we've got Champs, which I believe Champs is played on the same day as the World Cup final, which I think is bad scheduling from the CDL, to be honest, but I almost called it a CWL there. But yeah, can't obviously be stopped now. If you do enjoy, please do like the episode. I just want to say a massive thank you for the support on last week's episode 75. It was actually our most viewed roundup this season, with over 75 views. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. It does mean a lot, honestly, because it's been a poor year in terms of the viewership. We've not had an episode hit 100 views yet. Obviously, the last episode that hit 100 views was Champs 2025. A 2025 Champs review. Obviously, 2026 Champs review. Hopefully, we'll do the same. And obviously, 2024 Champs got over 500 views, which is bonkers for the roundup. But yeah, we keep going. So thank you to everyone that does watch this one. And yeah, let's get into the matches. So we start with Falcons versus Ravens, and it goes to a game 5. But Falcons do take this one. A bit of a rough one for Standy, whereas Pred has a really good team. He's here at plus 20 with the most damage in the lobby as well. Obviously, Falcons probably expected to win this. Ravens realistically needed to try and pick up any CDL points as possible. Unfortunately, we're not going to have a race for champs. It is ultimately going to just be a who starts in which position ultimately with the top for the event now. But Falcons win this one 3-2, and they're going to play OpTic in quarterfinals. Obviously, with it being the minor tournament, it was single elimination. Top 4 teams got a bye into the quarterfinals. Very straightforward. So there wasn't actually that many games of COD this weekend. And then we had Koi versus Cloud9. Obviously, new look Koi. Let's try that again. Are we going to be able to see the... No, we can only see Cloud9 for some reason. Well, this is not ideal. Breaking Point's website has decided to have a moment. Let's just get that sorted. Because I was thinking, like, why can't I scroll up any higher? Like, I was a bit confused. But we've sorted it now. So yeah. Koi 3-0 here against Cloud9. Obviously, Abe's back in the lineup for the first time since EWC. Obviously had that stint on Surge which failed, and then he was on Bush. But he was in this game here. Kips and Abe were actually the best players, so credit where it's due to Abe. But obviously, Koi should be beating Cloud9. Wevy's done alright, you know, since being on Cloud9's team. So credit to Wevy. Obviously, he's a young lad. He's only going to have a couple more series, and then his season's over. Well, no, he's got EWC as well. But 3-0 here for Koi, pretty comfortable. Overload was close, but Koi see it out. And they got the quarterfinals. And then we had Miami Heretics versus Vancouver Surge, and this was an unexpected 3-0 here. Obviously, it was Real back in the lineup for Trakes. Has not worked out so far. It's a .71. Um, Surge, honestly, Surge should have got to the semi-finals this weekend, but they bottled it against FaZe, which we'll show you soon. But yeah, it's a good series from everyone on the Surge side. I mean, Nero with 9,400 damage, Mamba with a 1.37, Lunas with a 1.2. Like, really good showing here from the Surge, but Heretics. It's not looking good for them going into champs. I think they might struggle. I'm surprised that they made that change, Trakes for Real, to be honest. Especially when Real had a bad stint on Koi. The final game of the round one was G2 versus Boston Breach, and Boston Breach took map one. After that, though, it was pretty good showing from G2. I mean, Skies had a .75, not ideal. Everyone else played well. TJ had a rough one on the Boston side. But yeah, Boston season's over. G2 advance. And G2 played Thieves, I believe, in the quarterfinals. So we had some decent quarterfinal matchups. So we were hoping for a couple of shocks. We almost had a couple of shocks. But let's start with Gentlemate's Koi, because obviously we had the drama last week of the Rostermania stuff. So it ended up only being Joe Deceives to join the lineup. Obviously he's playing his whole team already. So Estrel's still in, Sib's still in, Gorsey's still in, it's Joe Deceives. Now they paid about $125,000 for Joe Deceives, which is good money, especially because his contract ran out at the end of the season. So it was pretty good business, and Adam Grayson said, yeah, he understands the fans will be disappointed, but that money is very good and it can be reinvested back into the org for next season's team. Which I don't know what next season's team's honestly going to look like for Koi. I think Kips will be on it, but you just don't know with Kleenex and Insight. Like Kleenex doesn't want to play with anyone that isn't Insight. Abe had a bit of a rough one here. Maybe this is a bit of a reality check for Koi. But yeah, obviously Joe Deceives debut on Gentlemates with a 1.14. Everyone positive with 1.1s on the Gentlemate side, and they go to the semi-finals. But obviously, as the Gentlemates have the major coming up in Paris, that'll be really good, and obviously EWC's in Paris as well. So I think it'll be good fun. This team, I don't know how they'll do, but it is weird Neptune actually getting dropped because he's still on my MVP. He's in the top 10 still for my MVP ladder, mainly because of what happened at Major 1, obviously. Like, he is low down now, but still. Well, apart from around 11, this was a pretty straightforward 3-0 here for the LA Thieves. G2 gave it a go, but it was always expected that the Thieves would beat them. Scrap with a 1.2. Scrap recently is playing fantastic Call of Duty, and he is moving his way up the ladder, so is Hydra. Hydra in Grand Finals was a joke, and I think if Thieves win Major 4, that final, because obviously after Major 4, that's it for the ladders. They're done for another season. I remember when I was unsure who to give MVP to last season between Celium and Scrap. Obviously, I think I went Celium, but I think Scrap won it. I actually can't remember who won MVP last season. Rookie of the Year. Who was Rookie of the Year? Oh, Renkor, because he was the only real Rookie of the Year until Mercules, but Mercules hadn't been playing long enough to win it. Talk about Mercules, we've got OpTic here, 3-0 against Riyadh Falcons. And it's Dashy there with a 1.37. Big Brucey. Bit of a rough one for Exnid. Bit of a rough one's an understatement. A 0.68. Obviously, Exnid's been in good form recently for Riyadh Falcons, so it's a bit of a disappointing series for him. They would have obviously probably liked some CDL points, but they don't get any here. OpTic go through to semi-finals. Falcons are out. And then this was the series that I was talking about that was a shock because Surge bottled this badly. They bottled the round 11. You could argue they bottled this hard point as well. Surge should have 3-0'd FaZe, but FaZe take it 3-2. It's a disaster from Surge. They should have won this series. Mamba almost had Draz's number once more. Simp was actually poor in the series, which is kind of crazy to say. I mean, I swear map 1 he was terrible. Yeah, a 0.57 from Simp in map 1. Ultimately, the reason they probably lost that map. Um, but obviously, they managed to somehow clutch it up on raid. You know, it was just terrible round 11 players from Surge. And FaZe go through. Surge, obviously, yeah, the points wouldn't have been enough to get into champs, but you know, it still would have had them. It would have given them something going into the event or going into the last few online qualifiers. But it wasn't to be. Um, so we had Championship Sunday. I know it's technically Championship Sunday. I know it's only the minor tournament, but still. Anyway, Thieves, including map 1 and 3 close, map 2 6-0. Thieves were just on fire. Honestly, picking up the win was such a good pickup. Like, if Thieves win champs, you could argue it's not maybe as big of a up as a difference, but like Noim coming in is very similar to Mercury's coming in. I think what you honestly need is a couple of world class players with a rookie that's good, with like a solid rookie. Because Hydra, Scrap, and Abizi are world class players. Dashi, Shotzi, and Hugh are world class players, and they bring in a young gun who then turns their fortunes around. I mean, Thieves weren't doing horrendously before. Like they weren't doing as bad as OpTic were last season, obviously, but like bringing in bringing in Nguyen was such a good move, and I was unsure about it, to be honest. This was an absolute belt to ass here, but I'm gonna say like Mercules has struggled recently for OpTic. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about the MVP ladder. Everyone else on the OpTic side was unreal this series. And as you can expect, Gentlemates got outslayed heavily. Shotzi went 27 and 12. Ghost got 9 kills in the first map. In the third map, Shotzi went 34 and 22. Like, Shotzi was unbelievable this series. 1.73 to get to grand finals. But the problem for OpTic is every single final, the only final they haven't reached this season is Minor 1. Every Major 1, Major 2, Major 3, Minor 2 have all lost now in the grand finals. But this was a 4-2 series, but OpTic clutched up to get it to a map 4. Honestly, I thought OpTic could win going into this Overlord. I thought if OpTic win the Overlord, they'll win the series, but it's a rough one. Hydra though was unbelievable this series. Hydra, and he is obviously for me the minor 1 MVP, him or Scrap. But yeah, it's disappointing because like OpTic have had a good season, but this let's just think about it in football terms. Ow! But I'm gonna have to. I'm not even gonna edit that out. I can't believe that just happened. Um, in football terms, OpTic comes second in the Premier League, second in the Carabao Cup final, second in the FA Cup final, and second in the Champions League final. But a team like Gentlemates finishes fourth, quarterfinals in the Champions League, quarterfinals in the FA Cup, but wins the Carabao Cup. Which season would you rather have? Well, you'd rather win something, wouldn't you? So ultimately, Gentlemates have had a better season than OpTic, even though they've had roster changes at this moment in time. OpTic could still bring it back with obviously a win in the next 3 big events, especially that huge Champs one in 26. And then obviously EWC would be lovely as well, but Champs is the big one, always will be. I don't care if people think that there's less prize money or whatever, Champs is the one you want to win. But credit to LA Thieves. In my opinion, LA Thieves are the best team right now in the game, and then OpTic are the second best team. I think those 2 teams are comfortably the best 2 teams right now. I don't think anyone comes close to them. I think it will be a Thieves OpTic Grand Finals at Major 4, but I think Thieves will win it honestly. And I don't want to. I'd rather OpTic got top 4 than or top 3 than another second place. I can't be doing with it. It's annoying. But credit where it's due to LA Thieves. It was a good showing from them at this event, at this online tournament. So then we have Major 4 qualifiers. Obviously, we have 2 more weeks. So we start with OpTic versus G2. I'll go 3-1 OpTic. Obviously, G2's team is a bit better these days. Gentlemates versus FaZe. I'm going to go 3-2 FaZe. I think FaZe will just have a little bit over the Gentlemates. Thieves versus Breach. Obviously, Breach had a good start to the online qualifiers, but they will get slammed 3-0. And then Saturday's match is Koi versus Breach. Koi versus Breach. 3-1 Koi. I think it'll be a close one though. OpTic versus Ravens, I'm going to go 3-0 OpTic. Heretics versus FaZe, I'm going to go 3-1 FaZe. And then the last game on the Saturday, technically it's Sunday, but it's on the Saturday matches. Thieves versus G2. Didn't they just play each other? Oh no. They played each other at the minor tournament. I'll go 3-0 Thieves though. I just think Thieves look so good right now. And then Sunday we have Koi versus Cloud9. I'm going to go 3-0 Koi, same as what it was at the minor. Surge versus Gentlemate. I'm going to go 3-1 Gentlemates. And then we have Falcons versus Royal Ravens, and I'm going to go Falcons to win 3-1. A lot of games obviously just happened at the weekend. The teams playing each other again. And then, yeah, we only have 1 more week of online qualifiers after that. Kind of crazy, really. Let's do the ladders. So obviously, week 19. So it will end on what? Week 20, 21, 22? Maybe? I don't know. To be honest. But obviously not too much. There has been a little bit of a change. I've dropped Encourage down to 7th. I've moved Craze up to 6th, and I've actually put Abe up to 8th. I think Abe could have that potential to move up a little bit in the next couple of online series. The top 3 is set in stone. I am keeping Trakes ahead of Mamba still. I know Trakes obviously is on the Bush Challengers team now, but the top 3 is set in stone. It's not changing. And the order won't change either, unless Koi win and Kips gets MVP. Or if Koi win and Abe gets MVP at Major 4. Regarding MVP though, the top 3 hasn't changed, but Mercules is now getting closer to being out the top 3, which I never thought I'd say. He's been like top 2 all season pretty much, and then obviously I've pushed Hugh up to 1st. Simp obviously had a couple of rough series this weekend, but I'm not taking it into too much consideration. Neptune is still on the ladder. He's 10th. O4's 9th. Hydra's a newcomer. Hydra's up to 8th. For his performance at the weekend. Shotzi is 7th, even though Shotzi did alright. Joe Deceives is staying at 6th, but obviously that was for how we played on Koi. Dashi had a good weekend, but I've moved him down 1 to 5th because Scrap is up to 4th. And if Thieves win Major 4, Scrap will be in the top 3. He'll probably be 3rd or 2nd. If he gets MVP though, he'll be 1st. If Scrap gets 2 MVPs, I'm putting him 1st. But Mercury, Simp, and Hugh is still number 1 for me. I think he's been the best player in the game this year. But obviously hasn't got anything to show for it. If OpTic don't win a tournament this season, though, I really hope they don't do a stupid thing and try and move one of the players on. Obviously, Dashi is the oldest player in the league. He might want to retire. I hope he wouldn't. Obviously, if he chose to retire, he does retire with two champs rings and an EWC to his name and a few majors. So he obviously has got a good resume. But I'd hope that he wouldn't do that. Anyway, I think that's it. I don't think I've missed anything. Um, but yeah, thank you very much, obviously, especially for the support on last week's episode. I do appreciate it. Regarding what episode we're going to get to going into next season, obviously, I've already decided that we're going to do this next season. Obviously, I know I was a bit unsure about doing it this season, but we're definitely doing it next season. 76. Then obviously there'll be a few weeks from Major 4 to Champs, so there'll be a couple of episodes. 85, we'll probably get to for before the end of the season. It'll probably be 85, and obviously that means next season we will get to episode 100, which will be a special episode, of course. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please like if you did, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you.